His state is a disaster, and he doesn't do this.
Well, they have the original Alcatraz, so you guys could approve him being able to set one of these up over there. I'm sure the secretary would be happy to do that and provide. My sense is he's probably not going to bite on that, but I don't know that they'd be able to come in at cost because they tried to do this high-speed rail. They spent like $150 billion, no tracks. We've got a privately funded rail in Florida from Miami to Orlando, cost the taxpayers $0, and it's very successful. So it's just a much different approach between states.
Hey, Mr. President, when's the first person checking in this beautiful Alcatraz?
He ought to come here.
What's up, Ms. Poohbar?
When's the first person checking into the room, sir?
Trump visiting alligator Alcatraz in Florida, guys.
All the professionals.
There's going to be a security sweep because there have been civilians here, so they will sweep this multiple times to make sure there's nothing can be used as weapons or any contraband. And then once that's cleared, then they'll do. So it's really up to Secretary.
What's up? What's up?
And so they'll be ready to receive.
I think our viewers at home should note that this is air-conditioned facility. So if any of the news claims are keeping them out in the hot, humid South Florida, that is wrong. It's probably 62 degrees in here, or 72.
Hey, Biden wanted me in here. He wanted me. It didn't work out that way, but he wanted me in here.
Mr. President, what's your expectation of what this will do for the speed and force of deportation?
Well, a lot of things, and they're both telling me that these people come in here.
Trump visit his new detention center in Florida, alligator Alcatraz.
Real killer, maximum security. Look, what we inherited from this guy, this incompetent man, and his administration, which wasn't incompetent, it was radical left, lunatic, communist, whatever you want to say. I know most of them. What we inherited should never, never be forgotten. What they made us do. This is all because of an open border policy where 25 million people flowed in. From all over the world, from prisons, from all over the world they flowed in. For no reason whatsoever. We had, when I left, we had a very powerful border. We had no problem. He opened it up day one. He just opened the border. People couldn't believe it. They were standing
with his Gulf of America hat on. What's up, Positive Vibe? What's up, T Slate? What's up, Click and View?
They opened it up and they said go, and that's where all of this began. But this is an amazing thing that they've done here.
But listen, people don't have to come here. If they self-deport and go home, they can come back legally. We will let them come back legally.
And there is a lot of self-deportation.
Yes. But if you wait and we bring you to this facility, you don't ever get to come back to America. You don't get the chance to come back and be an American again.
Shout out to everybody in the building. Continue to get those likes up. Trump visit alligator Alcatraz in Florida.
They have the information about voluntary departure.
His new detention center
obviously, you guys
for
are funding
immigrants.
that because it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. So even if they get brought to the front doorstep here, they still have an opportunity to just go back voluntarily, and then this way they're
How fast does that take from the minute that, let's say they get in here and like, hey, I want to stay here, I want to go back to
we can put them on a plane that day and take them home. We'll buy their plane ticket, go home, and then they
What's
get
up,
the chance to
Belinda?
come
What's
back.
up, Leonardo?
If they wait,
Leonard?
say we're not going to do that.
Clicking a view, what's up?
Mr. President, you've talked recently about the idea of finding some way to get farm workforce and service sector workforce, and I think you've discussed somehow a program of people leaving on a sponsorship and coming right back. Can you give us a little
Very
more
crazy
about
time,
that,
positive
why,
vibes.
and the view of some hardliners, it's not
We
amnesty.
take care of our farmers and hotel workers and various other people that we're working on it right now. And Ron's going to be involved, and you're involved.
Continue to get those likes up. Double tap your mobile device screen or click those three dots, hit the thumbs up. This is Trump live visiting alligator Alcatraz in Florida, guys.
It's called farmer responsibility or owner responsibility, where they're going to be largely responsible for these people. And they know these people. They've worked on the farms for 15 years, and all of a sudden so I have a great, Ron does, Christy does, we have a great feeling for the farmer and for others in the same position. And we're going to give them responsibility for people. And we're going to have a system of signing them up so they don't have to go. They can be here legally. They can pay taxes and everything. And they're not getting citizenship, but they get other things. And the farmers need them to do the work. Without those people, you're not going to be able to run your farm.
Mr. President, you and the governor tangled pretty hard in the 2024 election, and yet you stand here now.
Yeah, the screen is clean today. You can't say nothing. It is clean
How would
today.
you describe the relationship and what future does
I
government
would say it's a
Census have?
10.
Excuse me?
I think it's a 10. maybe 9-9, but it's going might be a couple of little wounds. So maybe not. I think we have a 10.
Do you think his wife should run for governor?
We get along good.
Well,
Casey DeSantis run for
you know,
governor?
the thing about it is, you know, I endorsed him immediately in January 2024. I raised one of his PACs millions and millions of dollars, and obviously we saved him
The
a lot of
screen
money
is so
in Florida
clean
because
you can
Florida
eat off
was a
of
red
it.
state.
Yeah, I
We
hope
didn't have to
that
do
the
a rally
people that
in
was
Florida,
talking about my
whereas
screen took
2016
a bath
and 20,
yesterday.
This was like ground zero, and so we've been, you know, really happy to do that. And then we've worked very well on this and other issues with Florida. And you can call him at any time, and he wants to be helpful for governors. I mean, I can tell you that. We did Hurricane Helene last year. You didn't hear from the president at the time then. And then, but you know, with President Trump, you know, we know immediately. You just make the phone call.
Can we ask a Gaza follow-up question? I'm sorry, like another thing you inherited. How firm are you going to be with Netanyahu about ending the war in Gaza?
Very full, very full. But he wants it to. I will say. He's coming here next week. He wants to end it too. We had a tremendous success with Iran. And they won't have me. Somebody said, when are you going to sign? I said, sign? They are so bombed out. Did you see the report issued this morning? The place was decimated. It'll be years before anybody even gets down there. So that's not a priority, but we'll have a report and we'll have whatever we want. We'll get whatever we want from Iran. And I think, and I hope they will have a good, you know, they have massive sanctions right now, biting sanctions. It's going to be very hard for them to do anything with those sanctions. And I look forward to maybe there'll be a time when we get along with them and they can rebuild their country.
But is there a point where you tell Netanyahu, like, you gotta end this now, you gotta strike a deal?
Well, he wants to. He wants to.
Hey, Miss Karen, long time no see. It's good to see you. Hey, Miss Karen Smith, I hope all is well.
Announce your pick for successor to Jay Powell earlier than say, or as early as say the summer or the fall.
Will I do something about who it's going to be?
Yes.
I don't know. Hey, he'd be a good candidate. Will I do? She'd be a good candidate. Anybody would be better than Jay Powell. No, it's causing us a fortune because he keeps the rate way up. I think it's Trump derangement.
Thanks for getting that membership, Auntie.
We're the strongest country. Look, our country right now is at a level that we haven't seen for 40, 50 years. What we're doing now is nobody's seen anything like it. I told you, I was in the Middle East. The King of Saudi Arabia said to me very strongly, he said, you know what? A year ago you had a dead country. Now you have the hottest country in the world. We do. We're the hottest country in the world. Thank you very much.
Those are like Syria.
We'll be seeing it over the next couple. Also, those type of industries.
Will Kilmore bring over Garcia be the first to make here?
Right this way?
I don't know what happened, guys. Hold up.
I'm moving. I'm here, TV. Let's keep moving.
Thank you. Alright, come on.
This is a look inside, guys. They're giving them a tour of alligator Alcatraz, guys. Look at that. Fencing like you in a cage. You might as well be in jail.
I'll take a shot at
This is what the new facility looks like for the illegal immigrants. Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center in Florida, guys. Got them in there like animals. Cages, fences. Wow. This is like the fence that goes around your house. This is like something you put your dogs in when you keep them outside. Not jail bars or anything like that. They got fencing. Continue to double tap that screen. We need 100 on the likes, guys. Get the likes up. This is Trump New Detention Center in Florida, where they say it will be patrolled by alligators, guys.
Where's our phone camera?
They call it Alligator Alcatraz.
Right here. Scales over here. Press. Right, can sit right here. Right here. Pool's right here. Come right up there.
It's right here.
I don't know. It doesn't stretch very far.
It's gonna be right here. I have a.
What y'all think about that, guys? A cage facility. Chain link fencing, guys. We have built our own El Salvadorian prison.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Well, in jail, they give you bars. In jail, you don't have chain link fences.
Did a fantastic job. Even the microphone was well. That's good. Wow. Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for the incredible job they've done. I love the state. As you know, Ron and I have had a really great relationship for a long time. We had a little off period for a couple of days, but it didn't last long. It didn't last long. A lot of respect for each other. And it's a great honor to be deep in Florida, the Florida Everglades, to open America's newest migrant detention center. It's incredibly built, and you're seeing that yourself. That's why I said, let the press join us on our walk so they can see what's happening. It's known as Alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator Alcatraz.
Because I looked outside and it's not a place I want to go hiking anytime soon. But very soon this facility will house some of the most menacing migrants, some of the most vicious people on the planet. We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. Quite a few were amazed at actually the number. We took the FEMA money that Joe Biden allocated to pay for the free luxury hotel rooms, where he's paying hundreds of millions of dollars in New York City, and we used it to build this project, and Ron was just a little fraction of that money. The money they spent on that project, I happen to know the real estate developer. He's a very wealthy, he never really made that much, but he became very wealthy. With luxury, he didn't do well with people that are not exactly luxury.
Trump speaks on Alligator Alcatraz, guys. He is there right now.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem in Florida, Attorney General James Boothmeyer. Where is James? Where is he?
Continue to work on that like, guys. We need 60 more likes. Click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up.
He's even a good-looking guy. Guy's got a future, huh? Good job, James. I hear you. You're really fantastic. Work hard. You're like in the construction business for a few days, right? Congratulations. For all the hard work and to make this facility possible. It's amazing. Thanks as well to Florida Agricultural Commissioner Weldon Simpson. Where is Weldon? Where are you? Hi, Weldon. For a long time. Thank you. Congressman Byron Donalds. Where's Byron? Hi, Byron. How are you? Good. Florida Speaker of the House, Daniel Perez. Daniel, thank you, Daniel. Why, you didn't want to sit up here with us? Yeah. Executive Director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie. Hi, Kevin. Good job. Acting Director of ICE, Todd Lyons. Good job. And Senator Joe Bruners. He is a great guy. Where's Joe? We love Joe. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Broadcasting live from Alligator Alcatraz, guys.
Incredible Border Patrol agents. We now have the lowest level of daily border crossings ever recorded. As you know, last month, the month of May, just got released 2 days ago, the number of illegal aliens into the United States was zero.
He's still saying that no immigrants have crossed into the United States. I don't know about all that. That is not me, that is them, guys.
Radical left Democrats. So when a radical left Democrat tells me it's zero.
What's up, Lars everywhere?
but there's still much work to do. In the 4 years before I took office, Joe Biden allowed 21
Thank you for the
million people.
gift.
That's a minimum. It was much higher than
Thank
that.
you.
Illegal aliens who invade our country. He invaded our country just like a military.
Thank
would
you
invade.
again.
Tougher because they don't wear uniforms. You don't know who they are. More than the populations of New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, Phoenix, and Philadelphia combined. That's what came into our country from prisons, from mental institutions, from street gangs, drug dealers. Disgusting. This enormous country destroying invasion has swamped communities nationwide with massive crime, crippling costs, and burdens far beyond what any nation could withstand. No nation could withstand what we did. And we're in the process of doing it, but we have some great people doing it now. And you see them up here with me. But it's, I'd call it like an unforced era. It's sort of like men and women's sports. It's sort of like transgender for everybody. How could they have done this to our country? And we're never going to forget it. Last year, 15% of all the hotel rooms in New York City were used to house illegal aliens at costs set. They never got for luxury. They never got this much for luxury people coming in from.
Make sure if you're new, you're subscribing to the channel, guys. Most definitely get those likes up. We need 40 more likes.
With many rooms costing more than $300 a night, 6 times the rent of a typical American family. In Denver, Colorado, the city was forced to cut $10 million from its police and fire department budget as part of a $90 million plan to house illegal aliens. And it's a population that's growing and destroying Denver and growing and again, it's destroying Denver, and it's destroying many other cities too. Likewise, one of the city's largest hospital system is drowning in unpaid medical bills, unpaid in the billions, after their emergency rooms were flooded with tens of thousands of illegals, leading to the closure of critical services and these are really critical services. They can't even keep them open for American patients. The American patients were treated worse than any illegal immigrant. In Los Angeles, 1 in every 4 students in the public school system is from a household headed by an illegal.
That's not me, that's them, guys. I don't know what's going on with what they got going over there.
And smaller numbers on special education programs for non-English speakers in our public schools. So $78 billion, I think that's not a mistake. I would say $1 million, maybe. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, $78 billion, Joe, on translators and non-English speaking work. The federal government, the Justice Department, it's more than twice the cost of maintaining the United States Justice Department, what we're spending on translation and other things to help. In total, the average illegal alien costs American taxpayers an estimated $70,000. That's each. $70,000. I think that number is even
25 more likes, guys. Click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up.
Impactful step we can take is to fully reverse the Biden migration invasion. One of the worst invasions we've ever had. We've never had an invasion like this. We've had invasions, but we've taken care of them. We've never had an invasion like this, and it's with us. And we have some very bad people out there looking to do big harm. That's why the One Big Beautiful Bill includes funding for 3,000 new Border Patrol officers and 10,000 new ICE agents. And I've gotten to know the Border Patrol and ICE very well.
He's speaking on the big, beautiful bill. Congress is currently voting whether to pass it or not, guys.
Some president. Probably would have been slightly better than Biden, though. I had to run against both of them, you know? The one guy's like a fighter. You knock out the one guy who's doing bad, and then they put somebody else in, but fortunately she was a stiff also. Otherwise I would have been very angry. I would have been extremely angry. The heroes of ICE will also help round up and remove members of the savage drug cartels which are coming back into our country. And we got them out. Now some of them came back in, we just got them out again, and that's going to be a vicious cycle. But these are foreign gangs, they're horrendous people, killers, that have infiltrated our territory, including 8 which we have designated as foreign terrorist organizations, which gives us a lot more power for speed and getting them out much easier. And we had a great court victory, as you know, on Friday that allows us to do what we have to do from the Supreme Court of the United States. In 5 months, my administration has already arrested over 2,700 members of the murderous Venezuelan gang known as Transgender, including a pack of these sadistic animals arrested last month with over 280 guns, and these are guns of the latest caliber. These are guns that were made over the last period of less than a year, getting brand new guns, the latest and the greatest. Every day our brave law enforcement officers are hunting down and deporting migrant criminals who have committed heinous crimes, including more than 13,000 murders. 11,888 to be exact, but I'd probably say the 13,000 is right also. Think of it, 11,888, and more than half of them that committed more than one murder. So Ron, many of them are out of here already, but it's still a hell of a number to be confronted with. Just this year, ICE agents in Miami have apprehended illegals with arrests for murder, kidnapping, rape, child sexual abuse, and arson.
Educational
People of
purposes
the worst
only,
sort. We're getting these monsters out of the United States, out of Florida, out of all the places that they're in. And on January 20th, I signed an executive order empowering governors and state police to be deputized to enforce federal immigration laws, and Ron's already taken advantage of it. It really is a tremendous advantage for the states. Most of them are doing it. Actually, the blue states tend not to do it. Even a couple of them have though. And I want to express my tremendous thanks to the state of Florida for embracing this opportunity and being a true partner. They work so well with the federal government. It's been just a beautiful, beautiful partnership. So, Ron, I'd like to thank you personally. You are my friend, and you'll always be my friend. And we may have some skirmishes even in the future. I doubt it, but I will always come back because we just seem to, we have blood that seems to match pretty well. We have a relationship that's been a very strong one for a long period of time, and I appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. And also, Secretary Noem, I'd like to say, have you say a few words. You have been unbelievable, the job you've done. You and our favorite person, Tom Homan, have done, and your whole staff, because it's a lot of people, and Tom acknowledges it all the time. He respects you so much. He respects the staff, as you both know. And you're really doing one of the great jobs. And it was great that you could work with Ron in Florida so well. It was such a great facility. So please say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the safety and the security of the American people first. And the way that you never lose focus on making sure that America stays our priority and that the families that live here get the chance to grow up and to raise their children in communities that are safe and that give them an opportunity to pursue the American dream. This facility here is a fantastic representation of what can happen when all of government works together and when it's accountable to the taxpayers and to the citizens that live here. The President signed an executive order that allowed us to build partnerships with states and with local law enforcement officers, which is exactly how things should function in this country. More power, more authority given to people locally so that they can take control of their own destiny. And so we have already been working under the 287G program to deputize law enforcement officers, whether they be state highway patrol, local sheriff's departments in all of our states, and allow them to go out with our ICE officers, our border patrol officers, and make sure that we're getting the worst of the worst off of the streets. We also recognize that as we've been doing that and returning people back to their home countries, that we need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home. And this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us. What happened to start this conversation was a young man named Jimmy Percival in my office, my general counsel, who came from Florida, used to work here, called up the Attorney General and the Governor and said, hey, what do you think about partnering with us on a detention facility that we could put in place that would allow us to bring individuals
Trump on alligator Alcatraz, guys.
You guys volunteered the assets that you have and the connections that you have and worked with Kevin extensively so that we could come here, have their due process given, and return them home to their countries. And in 8 days, this facility has been stood up. And I want everybody to recognize that the detention facilities that ICE adheres to is a higher standard than is required at state level, at local Department of Corrections facilities, sheriff's offices. This is a state-of-the-art facility.
Salute to everybody in the chat. Welcome, welcome.
For security purposes, which is very helpful. And I appreciate so many people being willing to work together to make a project like this happen. Right here in this location, we'll have about 3,000 beds. Other location will have another 2,000
Alcatraz,
beds.
alligator Alcatraz is for detained immigrants, guys. It's a new immigrant center, detention center.
It's exactly what we
that's built in Florida.
In other states. And what I would say is, I want all of you to notice these flyers that we've got. Is that everybody who sees these flyers or anybody who sees these news clips should know you can still go home on your own. You can self-deport. If you go on the CBP Home app and go home now, you will get the chance to come back to the United States legally. You will get the chance to come back and do it the right way. If you don't, you may end up here. And you may end up here and be processed, deported out of this country, and never get a chance to come back. That is the consequences of breaking the law in the United States of America. Listen, our job is to uphold the law. This is a country
It's not just for the bad ones, guys. It's for pretty much anybody that's detained, you know, that basically is illegal, guys.
That upholds the law. If you break the law, there's consequences. We will deport you and you will never get to be a United States citizen. You'll never even get to come back here and work and to pursue the American dream. But if you decide you want to go home now, go home. And we'll help.
What's up, EJ?
We'll buy your plane ticket. We'll get you there. In fact, I just got back from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras. Those countries are excited to get their citizens home. They're setting up programs to loan them money to buy houses when they get there. Help them with food assistance, get their children educated, scholarships. They want their citizens that are living here in the United States illegally to come home and to be a part of their economy and help their countries grow. So this is a win-win for everyone, and I just want to end, Mr. President, by thanking our law enforcement officers, by thanking our ICE officers and our Border Patrol officers for what they do every day. They are out on the streets, and violence against them has increased over 500% since Trump has gone back into the White House, because he's upholding the law and because a bunch of liberals, socialists, and Marxists are out there lying about what President Trump is doing. President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day.
Somebody in the comments said this is some BS.
We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal.
Let's get the likes up, guys. Click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Trump Live from Alligator Alcatraz, located in Florida. The new detention center for anybody that's illegal, guys, not just the criminals.
Are so deranged they don't belong here. They shouldn't be walking the streets with their children. And they shouldn't be living in the communities with our families who just want to grow up, go to job, raise their children to grow up and get a job and to live the American dream. So thank you to all of our law enforcement officers, those in our military that have been helping, our National Guard. Thank you to Governor DeSantis for stepping up and being an example to other governors. I hope my phone rings off the hook from governors calling and saying, how can we do what Florida just did? How can we do exactly what they did? Because of this, we need this big, beautiful bill. We absolutely have to have.
There they go pushing the big, beautiful bill. Shout out to Lies Everywhere. That's currently being voted on by Congress.
Bad criminals off of our streets.
Wales Life, you stop talking. Let's get you up out of here.
Somebody's got their back. Somebody's got their back. They can do it safely and they can go home to their families at night too. So this bill needs to pass through Congress so we have the resources at the Department of Homeland Security to make sure that our homeland truly is secure. Mr. President, thank you for Stephen Miller. I just want to thank you for him. This guy calls me night and day and tells me all of his wise advice and wisdom, but he's a rock star because he loves this country and he's passionate about making sure that nobody is prioritized over an American citizen. We love everybody. We do. We love everybody.
Not everybody.
But, well,
Trump said not everybody.
A lot of
but
people.
we shouldn't be putting people illegally above citizens. We should be making sure that we do things right. And that's what America has always stood for, and we're an example to the rest of the world because we do it right. So, Mr. President, you surround yourself with great people, and I think that's because everybody wants to work for the greatest president that the United States has ever had, and that's President Donald J. Trump. So thank you.
Oh wow, the greatest president America has ever had, huh?
Thank you very much. And I have to say that, you know, when Christie's name was put before me by Tom Homan, by the way, because I wanted him for the border, and somehow I thought that was going to be good in that sort. But he didn't want the upper job, and I said, who do you recommend? Christie Noem. I said, oh, are you kidding? She's great, but she's such a fine, elegant person. He said, sir, she's tough.
Trump said she's such a
Are
fine,
you sure?
elegant person. He stressed that fine though. Let's go.
In a very nice way, but you are. If you ever saw her ride a horse, she rides a horse like she should be in the rodeo.
She riding horses. She should be in the rodeo. Let's go, Trump.
And, you've done a fantastic job, and Steve Miller would even agree to that. He likes nobody.
What's up, Ben?
He likes anybody. And another one we like is Ron. And Ron, would you say a few words, please?
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. Welcome back to Florida. And I think this is the first time you've been back since the events of a couple weeks. So just let me say, as somebody that was serving on active duty in Iraq back in the day, we witnessed the number of our troops that were killed or wounded by the Iranians. We know that they're a militant Islamic regime that was hell-bent on getting nuclear weapons. And
Tammy, it ain't you that's narrating. I can say whatever I want. If you don't like it, Tammy, I can deport you.
And those ambitions have been reduced to rubble. And I thank you. I know a lot of veterans thank you, and people in Florida really thank you for stepping up and really making a strong, tough but strong decision. I think we're much safer as a result of that. Now, on the immigration, I think President Trump's election represented the chance for us to finally solve this illegal immigration and border problem once and for all.
Let's go, Auntie.
Although he did it very quickly and very thoroughly, I think that no one can say that that's been anything but
Auntie says y'all president has built
success.
some cages
Then we have
for
the
y'all.
issue of Biden let in how many millions of people? And you had millions that had been in over decades previous to that. You can't have a country
What's up, Miss Shereen?
if you don't have respect for the rule of law. You can't have a country if foreigners get to decide who comes in. No, we the American people make that decision, who's allowed or not allowed to come into our country. We've seen Europe be overrun by open borders, so we're not going to let that happen here. So when the president got elected, I knew that the states had an important role to play in facilitating this really, really historic mission. We're the only state in America, in Florida, that requires full cooperation with ICE from all state and local law enforcement entities. And what is the net result of that? We have these agreements for these 287G task force with sheriff's departments, police departments, state agencies, and it's really instrumental in rounding up a lot of really bad people who shouldn't be here. If you look at the number of those full-blown 287G agreements that have been executed around the country, the state of Florida accounts for 60% of those. If you look at the number of immigration arrests of illegal aliens on any given day, the arrests happening in Florida constitute between 15 and 20% nationwide. So we're all in on this because we understand how important it is to our citizens. It crowds schools, it crowds medical, it crowds housing. Yes, you have illegal alien crime as well, and people want the problem solved. And the only way we're going to solve it is if states like Florida step up and help the president, help Secretary Noem get the job done. Now, this facility here was really in response to us working with DHS and ICE from the time the president got sworn in. And the number one thing they kept coming back to was, Biden decimated the agency. I mean,
Live from alligator Alcatraz in Florida, guys.
Release them. Even when they had notices or they had...
I don't know why the cameraman keeps zooming in on this man's face.
Interior enforcement collapsed under Biden. So they're building it back up, and they're like, we need detention space in order to be able to bring about more deportations. And so what we have here can hold 3,000 now. We have 2,000 facility up at Camp Landing that we're going to be open, which is our National Guard site. But think about what you
My
have
guy right here, man, like I wish y'all to hurry up.
You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop. And this airport that's been here for a long time is the perfectly secure location. It's going to make a big difference. And let me just thank everyone who was involved. We got the call from DHS a little bit more than a week ago. And here we are 8 days later with this facility open. And as soon as Air Force One departs, it'll be swept and it'll be open for business to be able to do. But our goal here is to process them and be able to effectuate their return to their home country. This is the opposite of what they were doing in New York by just putting them up in a hotel and just letting them stay there indefinitely. No, we want to be able to send back. And when you walk into the processing, the President and I, Secretary Noam, Kevin Guthrie, walk through that initial intake, the first thing you see is information on how to go home on your own. Why would you want to come through Alligator Alcatraz if you can just go home on your own? I think a lot of people are going to make that decision. So you're going to have a lot of deportations that are going to be done by the administration.
They say you can just go home on your own.
As well.
You don't have to come to Alligator Alcatraz.
For the President's efforts, I would just say and echo what Secretary Noam says. There is no reason why other states can't be doing it. And I know Louisiana, Texas, a couple of them, but we've got how many? If only the red states did this, they would be able to expand their capacity by tens of thousands, maybe 50, 100,000 on a given day. That's how you really start to make a difference. And so we're proud to be able to partner with the Trump administration on that. Mr. President, thanks for coming down. I think you highlighting this is going to move the needle in a big way throughout the country, and I think it's going to help all of us achieve the really big
I don't know what the cameraman doing. He tripping.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity. My name is Kevin Guthrie. I'm the Executive Director of Florida Division of Emergency Management. I'd also like to thank President Trump, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Noam for joining us here today and for their
Alligator Alcatraz, guys, located in Florida, a brand new facility for anybody that's in America illegally. If you don't self-deport, they catch you, you run the risk of being shipped to Florida to this brand new facility, guys. Alligator Alcatraz.
Florida is and will always be a law and order state. Even before the president took office, the governor made it clear that illegal immigration would not be tolerated in the state of Florida. When the president and the secretary asked Florida to help, the governor empowered our state and private partners to work collaboratively and deliver real results on a rapid timeline. The Florida Division of Emergency Management is best known for leading the nation in hurricane response and other natural disasters. We understand how to act fast without bureaucracy in the face of any emergency. Our teams built roads in 8 hours, bridges in 3 days, base camps in 72 hours, and full causeways in 2 weeks. Getting things done quickly, efficiently, and correctly is at the core of our mission. We simply just want to be the best at what we do in the nation. When the governor called me, we answered. And we were proud to bring our logistical expertise to the table. We know how to set up base camps for guardsmen, first responders, linemen, volunteers, and other aid sources, and distribute that in a matter of days before a storm. We're able to translate this knowledge to what we did here at Alligator Alcatraz. Florida has put the best teams together who check their individual logos and egos at the door to get this done. Not just for you, Governor, but Mr. President, for you as well. There are over 13 different vendors that came together to get this solved in 8 days. Truly a whole of private sector partnership to get that done. Behind you on these boards, in only 8 days, we have built a fully compliant detention facility with a detainee capacity of up to 3,000 people, with room for additional capacity if you ask us to do so. The detention facility includes over 158,000 square feet of housing. It is a fully aluminum frame structure rated for winds of 110 miles an hour or a high-end category 2.
Thank you for the cash app. Thank you.
Consideration. This is Florida, by the way. Power supply is fully redundant.
Somebody
We have
said this is
generators in place.
disgusting.
We put a staff village here on site with a capacity of 1,000.
Continue to
Our
get those
services are
likes
hot
up. We
meal
need
3
40
times a day,
more to
24/7
200, guys.
facility,
Click
pharmacy,
those 3
air
dots, hit the
conditioning,
thumbs
access to
up.
indoor and outdoor recreation,
This is everything you need to know
laundry.
about
Our
alligator
security
Alcatraz
is over
that's
200
located in
security
Florida,
cameras
the
throughout
new
facility, more than
home for
30,000
illegal
feet of
immigrants,
wall
guys.
guard, 400 plus security personnel to include 200 men and women, soldiers and airmen underneath Major General John Haas's command as the Adjutant General of Florida. And it's all surrounded, as you pointed out, Mr. President, by 10 miles of beautiful Florida Everglades. Contingencies, as with all state correctional facilities, we have a hurricane plan. We will not wait for a Cat 2. We will follow our normal evacuation procedures as we do for any other facility statewide in our great state of Florida. We have on-site fire and EMS resources so that we do not locally, we don't burden the locals with any type of response. All in all, sir, this has been a perfect state logistics exercise for this hurricane season. Everything we did here in the last 8 days, God forbid, if we have a hurricane, we're going to do it again. This was a dress rehearsal for us, and we are ready, willing, and able to support you, sir, the governor, the secretary, and everything that you need to do.
They said fake news. We love CNN. CNN in trouble right now. I got that for you too. Just hold on.
President, governor, secretary.
First of all, Mr. President, we all have to thank you for your leadership and for the mandate that the American people gave you to finally secure our borders and to deport criminal illegal aliens and long-standing illegal aliens out of the United States. That is a mandate given to you by
this love from Kenya is most definitely so clean you can eat off of it.
On behalf of the other members
Lick the screen.
in the Senate, and of course here in Florida, we are behind you 100% in that mission. To the governor, I really appreciate you and commend you for your leadership on this, taking swift, decisive action to building this facility. One of the things that has occurred because of the work you did earlier this year with the legislature is that our sheriffs are out there every single day. They are arresting these criminal aliens in our streets, and they're seeing some backlog in their jails. So this facility primarily goes to address some of that backlog and then to help us fulfill the mission that the president has led us to. So Governor, thank you for your leadership and thank you for your decisive action on this. It really does mean a lot to all the people of Florida, of course the people of the 19th Congressional District. Secretary Noem, I mean, what can I say? The president's right, you're double tough. So we appreciate all your leadership.
10 more likes to 200, guys. Continue to double tap that screen.
I'm going back to DC after this because we have to vote on one big beautiful bill in the House. We have to get that to the president's desk so we can get you the resources.
There they go talking about the big beautiful bill
that
again.
the American people have asked us to do. I totally agree with what Mr. Guthrie has said. This is a logistical marvel when something like this occurs. We've seen Florida Department of Emergency Management answer the bell time and time again. The governor has said we need to accomplish this, and DEM gets that job done. And we had a side conversation about, I know there were some concerns. People were like, well, what happens if a hurricane comes? What happens if this happens? And I looked at Kevin Guthrie and I said, you already have a plan, don't you? And he goes, of course we have a plan. We know that we do. This is what Florida does, Mr. President, and so I want to commend you for your leadership and your vision on this. Governor, thank you for all that you do.
It's a new detention center, Sweet Low. Anybody that's illegal runs the risk of going there.
Good news, the big beautiful bill just passed.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
The question you asked is the same thing, Sweet Low.
You know, I'm waiting, listening to these wonderful words, and they are music to my ears, but I was also wondering how we're doing, because I know this is prime time. It shows that I care about you, because I'm here, and I probably should be there, but we do care. Thank you very much. James, please. We're all happy to hear this.
Yeah. I'd like to speak on behalf of all of our sheriffs, state law enforcement, our police chiefs. We are going to continue to make arrests or pedal to the metal as many as we can. We want to fill this place up. The governor.
He said they gonna fill it up, guys. He said we gonna fill this place up. I bet you guys are. Because it is most definitely for anybody that's illegal. Anybody.
Alcatraz in the middle of the Everglades. Great runway, great perimeter. So let's make it happen. In Florida, we walk the walk and we will deliver for all of you. Thank you.
Well, I heard you were responsible for the locational pick, and you could not have picked a better location. I said, whoever the hell made this choice, I know you're taking a little heat from some environmental groups, but I take it all the time. That's an honor. But I heard you were very responsible for that choice, and that was a big choice. Thank you very much. Good job, James. Thank you. We want to finish over here, and then we'll go over here. We'll go back and celebrate the big, beautiful bill that we just got passed. You sure that's right? Right?
Yes, sir. Right. Got the tiger.
Wow. He's doing a good job. Wow.
Mr. President, first of all, I just want to say how grateful we are that you're back here in your home state of Florida. You've been doing an amazing job, not only at our border, but around the world, keeping this country safe.
This is not AI, boy. This is happening right now in Florida. What are you talking about?
So thank you for that. As a member of the Immigration Board and as the Commissioner of Agriculture of this state, I've been happy to help lead with the governor and the rest of the cabinet on this issue.
We're going to go take a look in a second. I see these people coming through saying it passed, it passed. We'll look in a second to see if it passed.
To keep our citizens safe. But we're going to continue in Florida to remove the barriers to have your vision come true of a safe United States. We're going to get these illegals, the illegal criminals out of this state, and we really appreciate you and your leadership in this effort. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joe Gruters, State Senator. I'm a member of your Homeland Security Advisory Council, your Vice Chairman. Thank you for that appointment. And thank you for coming back to Florida and everything that you do. Every single day you are delivering on the promises that you promised to us at all of the events you've done throughout the years, but specifically this last campaign.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Something happened. I don't know what it was. Let me go check. More on alligator Alcatraz, guys. Hold up.
Putting their lives on the line to get dangerous, illegal immigrant criminals off of our streets. Since President Trump took office, ICE has been committed to removing the worst of the worst. We've seen them arrest hundreds of illegals with violent criminal histories. Like this Yemeni national who was picked up in Detroit. Officials say that he has several previous convictions, including second-degree murder. Or this Dominican national arrested for alleged fentanyl trafficking. Or this Guatemala national who was charged with 3 counts of aggravated rape of a child in Massachusetts. So while ICE agents are removing these illegal monsters, they've constantly faced danger themselves. ICE says assaults on agents are up over 500% this year. But instead of protecting the brave men and women working for ICE, CNN is out with this.
Yeah, somebody said something about CNN a while ago. Well, CNN is in big trouble, guys. I played this just for you. This is something on CNN being sued. It says, accused of endangering ICE agents. This is a federal crime. CNN is accused of endangering ICE agents. Yeah, since you love CNN so much. Oh, yeah, we love CNN. Well, they in trouble.
Touting a brand new app that alerts people of ICE sightings in their area. Now that obviously puts agents at risk, and it gives these dangerous illegals a chance to get away. ICE says CNN never reached out for comment. And acting ICE Director Todd Lyons says this in a statement, quote, CNN's promotion of an ICE spotting app is reckless and irresponsible. They are willfully...
So it's a brand new app out, y'all, that tracks the movement of ICE, giving immigrants a heads up to where they're coming to. They say this is illegal, and it was promoted by who else? CNN.
Endangering the lives of officers who put their lives on the line every day and enabling dangerous criminal aliens to evade U.S. law. Is this simply reckless journalism or overt activism? And DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin reacted earlier this morning on America's Newsroom.
examples like these apps are absolutely obstructing justice. What our ICE enforcement officers are doing is enforcing the rule of law. If these rioters, these activists, and these politicians don't like the law, they should change it. Don't go after our ICE law enforcement. It's disgusting, it's wrong, and it's un-American.
Let's go, Auntie.
Professor, she said it perfectly. It is un-American and it is frightening.
I think it's worse. I think it could be criminal. You have an app here that's being used to target federal officers who are doing their job. We just talked in the first segment about how much we hate the idea that this guy, the shooter, was targeting, right, firefighters. This app is going to make things like that more possible. How is this any different? This is like the cyber equivalent of the people who are trying to block ICE offices in downtown LA, the people who are setting cars on fire in front of the ICE building so that agents can't get out and perform their missions. And so I think this person should be investigated. I think the app should be brought down by the government. And I think people who are using it should be investigated for trying to obstruct federal law enforcement. That is a crime. This is not just playing around with apps. This is a federal crime.
Right. And Marie, I know you don't feel this way, but why are so many in your party intent on protecting such monsters? What is wrong with getting the child rapist who is here illegally back out of the country and the whole long list of them all? Nothing's wrong with...
And we also exercised the Copyright Act of 1976 on all videos played. This is for education and news reporting purposes only, guys. So there's a brand new ICE app, you know what I'm saying, where you can basically track the movement of ICE, guys. And they are saying that CNN promoted it. Therefore, CNN is in a lot of trouble, guys.
Reporting criminals. I think we should. 100%. What is challenging right now is you put up 3 extraordinarily dangerous criminals who should be deported. I also, on the other hand, see the stories of the 65-year-old grandmother who has 6 grandkids, who's been here for 30 years, who has not committed any crime except coming here illegally, and she is now being targeted by ICE. There are hundreds of stories like that we've seen across the country. So I want ICE to focus on the worst of the worst and not rounding up 6-year-olds with cancer getting treatment, people checking in at their actual immigration hearings like they're supposed to. ICE is also going after them. I don't ever want anyone to attack an ICE officer. What I also don't like, though, is ICE officers who are, you know, plain clothes, masked, scaring people. These people are not undercover. They are coming in heavily armed, throwing, in many cases, non-violent people to the ground. We have video after video of it. So I think we have to hold both ideas in our head at once, deport the bad criminals, but maybe not the 65-year-old grandmother with 6 grandkids who pays taxes and is a beacon of her community. That's why Democrats don't like everything ICE is doing right now.
And Harris, I'm curious, though, because all of a sudden now CNN is touting, you know, this app, right? We want people to have the notice of when ICE is in the neighborhood. But what notice did Laken Riley get when she was ambushed and murdered? What notice do any of these Angel
And how much did they cover that?
Exactly. And so I just don't understand why an argument to protect...
Do y'all agree that there shouldn't be an ICE app, guys? Let me know. CNN in big trouble. You know, being slammed, being dragged in the media right now for promoting an ICE app, guys, which reports where ICE is to anybody with the app.
Certain amount of people has any weight in this conversation at all when the conversation is about protecting Americans from those monsters and protecting ICE agents from the domestic monsters that are trying to ambush them.
Yeah, no, those are great points. I'm not going to go after CNN. I don't want to help them get viewers. That's all we do when we talk about them. Look, they didn't do their due diligence here. They should have contacted ICE. They should have done a lot of things journalistically, but we'll just let them live in that lane. You know, Maria, I don't know wider investigations that ICE is doing, but they tie a lot of bolts and things together and streams of information together with some of the people that they pick up. So I can't question every arrest that they do. I don't know who that grandmother knows. You don't either. And that's part of the issue here. And that is difficult, but they can't tell us everything. What I'm looking at are the times that those people are returned back into society and returned to their homes. And that is happening. With what regularity? It's not known enough for us to know because they're so embedded, some of these gangsters, into our communities that, yeah, we might see a grandmother, an aunt, or someone.
A 6-year-old with cancer, Harris?
Look, the 6-year-old has to live with an adult. Come on, don't get cheesy. Of course,
I'm
that
not getting
person's in a
cheesy.
family.
That offends me.
And that child is in a family with whomever is in that household. And what I'm saying and what I would advocate for is once they do the vetting, then you move on to the next thing that makes sense for those people that you've apprehended. Is that letting them go? Is it sending them back to their country and saying you can get in line first? Whatever that is. But if you're saying that we shouldn't stop something like tipping people off to ICE agents for their own protection because you don't like other things about the process, well, I thought you could do many things at one time. You usually say that you can. We have to be able to do that all together. And by the way, Hakeem Jeffries was wrong. And so are you and anybody else who would say that people being targeted in law enforcement cannot cover themselves, protect themselves. These gang members will go after families. They don't care. They have every right. So when Hakeem Jeffries said a couple of weeks ago, let's unmask these agents, I want him then to be tasked with protecting.
Fine. Because Rosanna, what offends me personally would be, for example, the illegal immigrant that set the subway rider on fire here in my city, and the list that goes on. So again, what offends me is the notion that there are people that are trying to protect those monsters and also render vulnerable the ICE agents that put their lives on the line to try to get those monsters out of our cities.
I have to just say, I am very disappointed in CNN. I know you don't want to give them any attention. But, I mean, I've been in TV news a number of years.
We got to shed light. Every immigrant is not a monster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know they keep on saying these monsters, and what about this, and what about that? But what about the ones that do pay taxes? What about the ones that are not monsters or gang members? That's all I'm saying. What about them?
So have you. There's a certain amount of responsibility when you put something on your air. Somebody there had to know that this was a very controversial thing to put on their air. I mean, are they so ratings challenged they'll throw up all the rules and regulations of TV news and just put anything on their air? It was irresponsible to promote this app.
That's right.
That's why they did it, because it gets eyeballs.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Compagno.
All right, so we got Pam Bundy, which is also a member of Trump's team. She also came out and spoke about this same app, you know, and how illegal it is and how CNN could possibly face charges behind promoting it. Check this out.
Lawsuit against sanctuary city policies in Los Angeles following the recent lawlessness and the riots that have plagued that city. And last week, the DOJ filed a complaint against Minnesota, challenging laws providing in-state tuition benefits to illegal immigrants. Still, Democrats are going way out of their way to resist everything that President Trump does. One software developer has now created an app to warn people when ICE agents are nearby. And this morning,
make
fake
sure you're
news
subscribing
CNN
to the channel
here
if
to
you're new.
promote the app. How nice of them. Take a look.
I talked with Joshua Aaron, who is the longtime tech worker who developed this platform, and he said he really wants it to be an early warning system for people about the location of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officers. So he says he does not want people interfering with those officers' activity, but he does want people to be able to avoid them altogether. You open the app, it looks like a map, and users can tap the map to report an ICE sighting in their area, and then everybody who uses the platform within 5 miles of that sighting will get a push alert. This is a free iPhone app. It is anonymous. Aaron says he doesn't collect any user data.
And meanwhile, President Trump is set to visit the grand opening of what is now being dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. That is a detention center in the Everglades for illegal immigrants. And the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, is with us with more. Madam Attorney General, great to have you, as always. Let's start with these lawsuits, the one against Los Angeles and last week in Minnesota.
Yeah, it was Sean, where, you know, in Los Angeles, what LA was doing, and we also sued Karen Bass, the mayor, directly. What they were doing is they were prioritizing illegal aliens over American citizens, and you cannot do that. These sanctuary policies are the root of the cause of violent crime in our country, in LA. We saw it with the riots. We had to send out DEA, FBI, ATF, our U.S.
Woo, that screen's so clean you can lick her face. I'm just saying though, Lord have mercy. Yeah, no jokes today. I hope everybody who had jokes yesterday went and took a bath last night. You know what I'm saying? Because the screen is clean. Let's talk about it.
Marshals jeopardize their safety to help enforce the laws of Los Angeles. We are not going to protect illegal aliens over Americans. No longer. It's stopped. We have sued New York, Illinois, Colorado, New Jersey, and now we've sued Los Angeles, and we will continue to sue you if you do not follow the laws of our country.
Well, Mamdani, I noticed, made that pledge about not helping or following the law. We do have the supremacy clause in the Constitution. Right. They do have jurisdiction, is my understanding. But isn't that the same for every sanctuary city or state?
Yeah, and what Dobby is saying in New York is utterly ridiculous. It's making mainstream anti-Semitism, Sean. This guy is out of control. What he's been doing, what he's been saying. He wanted to defund, do away with NYPD. It's so frightening. And the things about anti-Semitism should scare us all, given what happened with the Holocaust Museum, given what happened in Boulder, Colorado, and we just lost that victim, as you know, the 82-year-old victim who was firebombed, given what happened in the UK with that concert saying all these anti-Semitic things. Someone like that is very dangerous, not only for New York, but for our entire country. So we're going to keep fighting for the citizens of these cities. If these mayors and these candidates for mayors won't do it, Donald Trump will. Including Tim Walz, Governor Tim Walz in Minnesota.
Let's talk about, I mean, the administration racked up a series of very powerful decisions last week, including the nationwide injunction. Let's go through the importance of those decisions and how it impacts the administration.
Well, it impacts everything President Trump has done, his agenda, everything he's trying to enact under his powers of the executive branch. It blocked our tariffs. It affected our military readiness. It affected immigration. It affected our foreign affairs. It affected us eliminating fraud throughout the government. No longer. They were allowing district court judges to serve as emperors, basically, for the entire country. We've had 285 lawsuits against us of the 40 injunctions that have been issued against President Trump's administration. 35 of them were in 5 districts: Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts, Colorado, and Washington State. Not shocking to you, I'm sure, Sean, but no longer. It violated the separation of powers on which our nation's government was founded. And they cannot seize power from the executive branch any longer. Joe. President Trump now can enact his agenda. It was a huge win. We've had so many big wins recently for President Trump because the American people elected him by an overwhelming majority and the Electoral College. And that's so important because his message when he ran was crystal clear. And that's what he's able to enact now based on this great...
Crystal clear. It was crystal clear, just like this screen. I'm just saying.
Ruling with a 6-3 opinion authored by Justice Barrett at the Supreme Court. We also won transgender books, that parents have the right to choose whether their children have to read transgender books. I've seen some of these things. They are disgusting. No one would want to read these, especially a child in school. And now the Supreme Court confirmed that parents do have rights. That also came out last Friday. And as I mentioned before, we also sued last week Governor Walz in Minnesota for tuition.
I do agree that men shouldn't be in women's sports and women shouldn't be in men's sports. I most definitely agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that. I agree with that one. I give them that.
For illegal aliens. You can't do that. Once again, these governors, these states are prioritizing illegal.
Can we get 40 more likes, guys? We need 300 on the like. Click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. They're talking about this new app. They're talking about a lot of things. And transgenders, you know, is one of the things that they're also talking about as well, guys. Get those likes up. It helps the channel and it'll be greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that's viewing right now.
Illegal aliens over our students. They're treating our students like second-class citizens, and the Trump administration is not going to put up with it. It ends, and it ends now.
You know, we've had Tom Homan on many times on the program, and he's talked about a dramatic increase in violence against ICE agents. over 450%. I mean, really scary numbers. If you have or put out an application or a warning system that ICE agents are in the area, are you guilty of obstruction? Are you guilty of aiding and abetting in that case? And by the way, if you're a sanctuary state, does that status aid and abet, just the very status of it?
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. And people obviously are ICE agents, all of our federal agents who are working hand in hand on these task force, our federal agents from the Justice Department could be injured. He's giving a message to criminals where our federal officers are, and he cannot do that. And we are looking at it. We are looking at him, and he better watch out because that's not a protected speech. That is threatening the lives of our law enforcement officers throughout this country. And shame on CNN. I just saw that for the first time.
Shame on CNN.
That they're promoting that app. That's shame on them for doing that. That could hurt our law enforcement officers who are out there protecting them, protecting all of us every single day.
You know, the only reason that we even drew any attention to it was because you were on the program. And I wanted to make sure that you did see it, because nobody watches CNN, to be very honest.
Oh, no, they throwing slugs. He said nobody watches CNN. Somebody was just here a while ago saying, we love CNN, forget the rest of the stations. He said, don't nobody watch them. So I guess the person who said that is the only person watching CNN, huh?
These things do get out there in the ether, and people do know about them, and people, there's a lot of chatter in social media. And I want people to know that if they're involved in this, they are putting ICE officers' lives in jeopardy. Or if they dox the homes of ICE officers, that scares me too.
Oh, they doxing on this app too. They sharing information about the ICE agents, their homes, their locations, exactly where they are. That's crazy.
That's right. That's right. You cannot dox you. We're finding you. People don't think that we can find you. We are finding you. We've made that abundantly evident by the cases that we're making. No longer will crime be rampant in our country, and we will protect the great men and women in law enforcement. I feel like, Sean, what has happened to this country where our police officers are out there every day? There's no ordinary day in the life of a police officer. They're out there protecting all of us every day. They're protecting
more likes, guys. 20 more likes.
Everyone. Yet these people are so against law enforcement officers, whether you're a candidate for mayor in New York City or you're some network of promoting an app. You're warning people about that app and not to use it. And thank you for that.
Defund, dismantle, no bail, let the criminals go free, and fire the cops and hire social workers. That's the platform of the Democratic Party. Attorney General Pam Bondi, as always, thank you. Great job.
That's crazy, y'all. So CNN is in a world of trouble behind promoting this ICE app, basically giving people a heads up when ICE is in their community or coming to where they are. They also said that they have been doxing the agents on this app. That is crazy, y'all. Well, Pam Bondi says, hey, look out, we're watching you and we're coming. We're gonna get you. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? All right, so more on this alligator Alcatraz, the new detention center that Trump has built in Florida to house illegal immigrants, guys, of any sort. If you're here illegally without paperwork, you run a risk of being sent there. You don't have to be a violent criminal. You don't have to be a gang member. All you have to do is be a legal immigrant, and they're going to ship you to Florida, to AKA Alligator Alcatraz, guys. This is crazy. Check it out.
Tomorrow, President Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center located at Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron Donalds, and other state and local leaders. You have illegal murderers and rapists and heinous criminals in a detention facility surrounded by alligators.
Now, notice what she said. But if you listen closely and go back and watch some more of the videos, they most definitely let you know that you run the risk of being sent here, and you don't have to be an R word. you know, or none of that. You don't have to be a gang member. You don't have to be violent. All you have to do is not have proper paperwork, and they can send you to alligator Alcatraz.
Yes, I do think that's a deterrent for them to try to escape. We want to keep the American people safe, and we want to remove these public safety threats from our streets, and we want to effectively detain them as best as we can.
Alligator Alcatraz will be staffed with Florida's finest. Meet your new ICE agents. These gators will be patrolling the perimeter, but it's not just bad hombres they're going to have to deal with.
There you go.
Protesters are trying to drain the swamp, too.
To see it harmed in this way is just heartbreaking, and we hope that our voices will be heard in some way.
There's no environmental
They
impact
already
study
got
done,
protesters.
so we don't know. What are they hiding? Financially, it doesn't make sense. Ecologically, it doesn't make sense. I really don't know. It's just a catchy phrase, alligator Alcatraz.
Florida Attorney General James Uffmeyer joins us now. So grateful to you for joining us today. You know, it really is remarkable. This is all, you know, so much of this is hilarious. But, you know, the idea that Donald Trump has managed to secure the border in the first 6 months of his presidency, it is the largest, it's the biggest campaign promise ever kept by a politician.
Indeed. Thank God we have President Trump enforcing the law. In Florida, we're leading the way to help them. We got a great governor who tasked our state leaders to do whatever we can to help the president enforce against illegal immigrants. And we're becoming the victim of our own success. Our sheriffs up and down the state are making thousands of arrests, which is filling up jail cells. So we're going to need more space. And I know the president has an affinity for restoring the original.
Now, remember earlier, they vowed to fill up that detention center. They said, we're going to fill this place up. Yeah, I believe it.
Alcatraz out west. But in Florida, we always like to be better than California. So we had to do alligator Alcatraz, which I assure you will be better. We'll have thousands more beds in Florida. It's basically an island over 30 square miles, completely surrounded by the Everglades, with an 11,000-foot runway that's going to allow very big planes to come in and deport people out of the country.
So, you know, incidentally, what is the size of alligator Alcatraz compared to all of the Everglades?
It's pretty minuscule. It's about 39 square miles to be precise, and it's, you know, it's 50, 60 miles in every direction. So you don't have to spend a lot. It'll be a low-cost facility. If you get out, there's really nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. In fact, people that get out are probably going to be climbing back in because they're not going to like the alligators and pythons and tough elements that are waiting on them. But look, you know, we are all in Florida to help the president. We got to shut down the border crisis for once and for all. And again, thanks be to God, we got President Trump leading the way and doing what the American people want. It's great to have somebody that cares more about the safety of our families. And, you know, our AG's office, we've been working prosecuting dangerous criminal aliens across the state, human traffickers, fentanyl cartels. We just secured a lifetime conviction for a guy that was prostituting young girls. This is sick. It's got to end. We have to restore American sovereignty.
So as Florida's top...
Now, once again, the part they keep on leaving out, when they talking about all these dangerous people, which is a good thing if they send all the dangerous and violent and gang members to this place, I understand. But, because there's always a but, anybody that's illegal, listen, anybody that's illegal without proper paperwork runs the risk of being sent to this alligator Alcatraz. Whether you're violent, whether you're a criminal, whatever, whoop. If you are here without paperwork, proper documentation, quote unquote, an illegal alien, you can be sent to alligator Alcatraz. You don't have to be a violent or none of that. You can be an 83-year-old grandma, you know, and if they catch you without that paperwork, you could wind up in alligator Alcatraz. That's the part that they're not saying.
Law enforcement.
But that's the part that was stated earlier when that man said, we're going to fill this place up. And when that woman said, you don't have to worry about coming here if you self-deport. If you wasn't here in the beginning of the live, go back and listen to Trump's live broadcast, you know, from alligator Alcatraz, where all of these things I just told you were said. I'm just saying.
Officer, are you going to be the one that's in charge of interviewing the alligators and I hope deputizing some of them?
They're more than volunteering in number. They're ready to go. You know, we were thinking maybe call it Python Prison because there might be more pythons than alligators now in South Florida. But whatever it's called, we will deliver, we will get the job done, and we will help President Trump deliver on his mission.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to...
Crazy, huh? That's crazy, y'all. All right, so a little bit more from Trump on Alligator Alcatraz. This was before he arrived to give his speech. Him and Elon Musk are also still at it over the big, beautiful bill, guys. Elon Musk basically vowed to help stop this bill.
Hello, everybody. The trip was nice, and the job they've done is fantastic. And this is what you need. And Ron worked beautifully with Christie and all of the people at Homeland Security, and got it done in how many days, Ron?
8 days. A new facility was up and running. So.
And is this a model going forward, Mr. President?
It can be. I mean, you don't always have land so beautiful and so secure. We have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. It will keep people where they're supposed to be. This is a very important thing. We're setting records at the board. You know, we had no people come through last month. Zero, no people.
Trump says nobody came through last month illegally. Yeah, that y'all were able to obtain, to capture, basically detain. But I most definitely don't think that it was nobody that snuck over here. Man, I live in Texas, and illegal immigrants come over almost every day. I find it hard to believe that nobody tried to get in. But hey, that's what they say. Trump says zero. I say, yeah, right. But hey, you entitled to your opinion.
But we're going to keep it that way. So Ron did great, and I want to thank him.
Well, look, we thank you, Mr. President. Thanks for your leadership. The border, you did that quicker than we knew you'd do it, but you did it so quick, which is great. But Biden let in how many millions, and you got to take care of them. And so this is one example of state operating this. The feds are approving it, supporting it. We're also going to have 2,000 more at Camp Blanding, which is our National Guard site. And we're the only state in the country that mandates our state and locals, law enforcement, to cooperate with ICE. And it's made a huge difference. On any given day, Florida constitutes about 20% of all immigration arrests nationwide. So
I don't know what these
what I would just say is, don't let Florida be the only state. We've got very red states that should be doing this just as much as Florida's doing. That will increase their numbers. And then what happens is you'll have a lot of people that will deport on their own because they don't want to end up in an alligator Alcatraz or some of those other places. So I think this is a model, but we need other states to step up.
I was going to ask you, would this be enticing for other states to come up with their own model?
They are doing it. We have Louisiana doing it big. Alabama's doing it. We have a lot of states. They seem to be red states. There are not too many blue states for whatever reason. You know, but the red states, Republican-run states, are doing it. The blue states don't do very well at security and policing, unfortunately. What would you say, Chris?
You know, I would say that exactly right. The governor here has been fantastic in forming this partnership with the Department of Homeland.
Now, this is the lady that I was talking about earlier that kind of blew the cover on what's going on, because she was the one that was pushing. All you have to do is self-deport, and you won't have to worry about going to Alligator Alcatraz, which means that it's for anybody, not just violent criminals or gang members, but basically anybody that doesn't have paperwork runs the risk of being sent to Alligator Alcatraz. This is the new migrant, illegal immigrant detention center located in Florida.
And security. We were looking at different contracts with different vendors and thought, why not go straight to our governors and ask them to help us solve this problem? Florida was unique in what they presented to us, and I would ask every other governor to do the exact same thing. This is unique because we can hold individuals here, they can have their hearings, get due process, and then immediately be flown back home to their home countries. And their home countries are welcoming them. They're setting up loans for houses. They've got food assistance. They're helping.
She's doing it again. Listen to what she's saying. She's not just talking about no violent criminals. No, she not. She's not just talking about gang members. She's talking about anybody that's here illegally. Go back to your home countries. That's what she said. Listen close, y'all.
This is unique because we can hold individuals here. They can have their hearings, get due process, and then immediately be flown back home to their home countries. And their home countries are welcoming them. They're setting up loans for houses.
We're going to hold illegal people here until their hearings, you know, and so they can get their due process. This, that, and the third. She telling you exactly what it is. It's not just for violent criminals. It's for anybody that's here illegally.
They can have their hearings, get due process, and then immediately be flown back home to their home countries. And their home countries are welcoming them. They're setting up loans for houses. They've got food assistance. They're helping to facilitate welcoming them home. I just got home from Panama, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, and they're all excited about getting their individuals back home from the United States. So
and there is a lot of self-deporting. That's one thing I was actually surprised, but a lot of self-deporting.
Yeah, Trump said it's a lot of self-deporting. Yeah,
I flew over the Everglades. We did a little circle. I said, let me see. That's a big piece of land. It took us 25 minutes to fly around. Is there potential for enlargement or additional facilities out here?
There may be. I mean, I think what we're doing is, because this is an important part of Florida, we're using the existing footprint of this airport. So when you guys go over there, you'll see all the beds, the medical, the galley, everything is on the concrete. We're not using any of the other stuff. Now, as you'll see, there's a lot of concrete, so there very well may be. I know Secretary Noem and her team have said as soon as the president departs, we'll be open to start receiving folks. And so we'll see what the tempo is. We do have the 2,000 in Northeast Florida that will open very soon. So it is possible to do. One of the things I think that is exciting.
So as soon as Trump leaves from Florida, they're going to start filling up that facility with individuals. He just said.
The thing about this is we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two, so they're not going to be detained hopefully for all that long. We'll have people here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy.
We'll have people here in this facility. Yeah, anybody without papers. T. Slate. Yeah, man, that's crazy, y'all. So your grandma, somebody's grandmother, a 90-year-old woman could wind up in this caged facility. Y'all, they show the interior of this detention center, right? It got chain link fences around the beds, y'all, like you're going to a dog pound to go pick out a puppy. I'm just saying.
Now, that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended, but you still have bureaucracy. So we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
Are you prioritizing going after the worst of the worst, or are you now arresting anyone who is here?
We're doing the worst of the worst, always first.
Yes.
And I think it's great government, what we've done. And nobody can ever forget.
This is not old. This is today, my guy. They just built this center. It's open as soon as Trump leaves. He just gave a speech there for the grand opening. As soon as he leaves, it's open for business. They're going to start sending people there.
With this group of people, Biden or whoever it was, because probably wasn't even Biden. I don't think he knew what the hell he was doing. But Biden, whoever it was, what this group of people, a small group that circled the Resolute desk, what they did to this country. Think of it, all the time you have to waste doing this. It's an unforced error. We had nothing. We had no problem with this. There was never anything like
this. Crazy, y'all. I don't know what's going on with their stuff they got going, but it's most definitely not me. But yeah, man, if you are illegal, you run the risk of being sent to alligator.
We're taking a look here at a live image from down there in Florida. We do want to apologize. The quality is as it's incoming to us here on our feeds. Remember, let's continue to listen in.
I like them, if you want to know the truth. And they were seriously, they were actually crocodiles. They were crocodiles from Africa. They are a step beyond. But no, that was really meant as a joke, but a lot of people liked it. And a lot of people think we should do it, frankly.
The Senate, it appears, is about to vote on
I
your
hear
big,
we're
beautiful
doing well,
bill.
Ron. I hear we're doing well.
Are you confident this can get
I
done
don't
by
know.
the
They are promoting this big, beautiful bill. She just asked them about the big, beautiful bill.
What does confident mean when you're like, when you have one vote and you have 100 people going to vote? I think so. I think it's going to be the greatest bill ever passed. Even for you, as an example, tremendous amount of Homeland Security money. Tremendous amount. It's going to keep the border secure because, you know, we have them secure now, but we need to build more wall. I built almost 600 miles of wall. We need more wall. And all of that's covered in this bill. This bill is amazing for everybody. It's an amazing bill for Florida, too. Really great for Florida.
You've heard the concerns about the Medicaid cuts, though.
No, we're not going to be playing with Medicaid. Only waste, fraud, and abuse.
Americans could lose
Yeah, the Democrats have it wrong. Yeah, waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, if you look at what's gone on, we've gone way back. We take care of Medicaid. We take care of Medicare. They will blow Medicare and Medicaid because they have no idea what they're doing. Just like they don't have any idea what they did on the border, they have no idea. Medicaid is in big trouble with the Democrats.
So you can promise anyone who loses their health care coverage that is because of waste, fraud, and abuse?
Waste, fraud, only waste, fraud, and abuse, which is what everybody wants.
President, Russia has about 50,000 troops stationed outside of Sumy in Ukraine. What will you do if Russia authorizes an offensive?
We'll see what happens. I'm watching it very closely.
Mr. President, about Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit next week, what are you hoping to get out of that? And do you think there'll be any progress?
It's going to be a very quick celebration. We had a great hit. It was a obliteration. Okay, now it turns out it was an obliteration. You know, they demean CNN mostly in the New York Times, fake New York Times.
Can y'all please take time to hit that like button? Click those 3 dots, hit the thumbs up, guys. It helps out the channel. Most definitely take time to hit the like button. Click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. This is Trump on Alligator Alcatraz, as well as a lot of other things, guys. This is crazy, y'all. Man, I've never seen nothing like Alligator Alcatraz. Wow.
They demean these great soldiers. They went over there 17 hours flying, and they hit bullseye after bullseye after bullseye. It all blew up. Everybody saw it. Then they get back, and CNN said, well, they did okay, but maybe it wasn't. Let me tell you, it was beyond obliteration. Nobody can even get down there. The tunnels are busted. Everything fell into the well. It was a total and complete obliteration, and we should celebrate these heroes. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing them, Ron. We're bringing them to Florida or to the White House. I gave them their choice. I think they're going to take the White House.
Probably.
I shouldn't tell you this.
Mr. President, there's going to be a new bill called Make American Elections Great Again.
I love it.
Forcing the U.S. Census Bureau to redo...
Oh, wow. There's a new bill called Make America's Elections Great Again. Trump said he loves it. Yeah, they man, look, they trying to clear up those loopholes. Look at Trump's face when he said that. Trump's like, oh yeah, I love it, and then he gave him this face.
Do the census to act again. Mr. President, there's going to be a new bill called Make American Elections Great Again. Forcing the U.S. Census Bureau to redo the census to actually get an account of how many Americans with proof of citizenship are in our area, in our country, redistricting some of the House districts. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll speak for both of us. We love it. Okay, you're going to like this one. I know all about it. We want to bring our elections back. The election in 2020 was rigged, millions and millions of votes. It had to do with COVID and a lot of things, but it really had to do with the crooked people. The Democrats are very good at cheating on elections. And that's why I said too big to rig. They tried this one too. But after about 9:02, they gave up too many votes. You know, too big to rig. Ron would love it. I would love it. Christie would love it. That's what they have to do. They have to bring it back. And we have to look, you know, Ron, they include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives in the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President, I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people, I don't know if you've heard about it, it's captivated the country. Everybody wants it. It's going to get in, it's going to pass, and we're going to be very happy.
Elon Musk is dripping into this bill again. Are you concerned that Republicans are going to be swayed by Musk and his money?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen...
Whoop, just brought up Elon, guys. All right, so I'm telling y'all, Elon and Trump still got something going on. It's heating up. Elon has vowed to help this bill, the big, beautiful bill that he's against, not pass.
Concerned that Republicans are going to be swayed by Musk and his money?
No, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen is Doge is going to look at Musk. And if Doge looks at Musk, we're going to save a fortune. Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, wow. If Doge looks at Musk, we're going to save a bunch of... Wow. Let's go, Trump. Yeah, man, they got it going. All right, so here goes some more on what Elon Musk had to say about all this. Let's go.
Trump calls his big, beautiful bill, which could be headed for a final vote in the Senate after a long day of debating amendments to it, and perhaps for some Republican members, staring into the abyss. Here's why. Polling consistently shows it is strikingly unpopular with voters. The Congressional Budget Office estimates...
And who's reporting on this? CNN. Let's go.
It adds more than $3 trillion to the national debt and could deprive nearly 12 million Americans of health insurance through Medicaid. That in it now comes with a double dose of existential terror for Republicans on the fence. On the one hand, the president over the weekend managed to drive one opponent of the bill out of seeking another term. On the other, Elon Musk has just weighed in on anyone voting yes, quoting him now. Every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for
This is what Elon has to say. Y'all see his tweet up there. You know, let me move over so you can get the whole thing. This is what Elon said about the big, beautiful bill, guys.
The biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame. And if that weren't enough, he adds, and they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. Now, given that his Mars mission won't be ready to go for years, that's a lot of primaries. But that's not all. He also reiterated his call from 3 weeks ago for a new political party and says he would start one a day after the bill passes.
The day after the bill passes, Elon Musk will start his own political party, guys. What do y'all think about it now? This guy knows the inner workings. He was hand in hand with Trump at one point. They was like best friends. And then they fell out. Then he left his position at Doge. So he knows how it works now. He's been there. He's done that. He done got all the information he can, all the intel. And now he's looking to start his own political party. So once this bill passes, Elon and his money will be starting their own party, guys, just in case anybody cares.
Rock, meet hard place. North Carolina's Tom Tillis chose The Rock, announcing that he will not seek another term, and he slammed the president on the bill's Medicaid cuts.
What do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, guys? It is inescapable that this bill in its current form will betray the very promise that Donald J. Trump made in the Oval Office.
So today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that Senator Tillis is, and these are her words, just wrong. But listen to what the president has been saying on the subject going back a decade and decide for yourself.
Let's talk about it. All right, now we got some history.
Save Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security without cuts. Have to do it. We're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times.
Oh, this is why they're going after CNN. CNN putting out all those old things you had to say, plus with what you're doing right now. This bill looks to cut Medicaid, guys, in which now they're showing the complete contradiction of what he said back then versus what he's saying right now.
You shouldn't be asking me that question.
What happens if it comes to your desk, has the tax cuts, but also cuts to Medicaid? Would you veto that?
Well, we're not doing that.
Would you veto that?
I would if they were cutting it, but they're not cutting it. We're not cutting Medicaid. We're not cutting Medicare.
A lot to get to tonight. CNN Chief White House Correspondent Caitlin Collins starts us off.
Let's unpack.
How concerned is the White House about potential cracks in the Republican coalition?
I mean, they're watching all of this and watching Senator Tom Tillis, in that scathing floor speech on Sunday, John. But then, of course, after he announced that he was not going to be seeking re-election, the president was cheerleading that and saying essentially good riddance to Tom Tillis, given they believe he's been a thorn in their side during all of this. And John, obviously, when they look at this overall, and I've been talking to White House officials about what they think is ultimately going to happen here, they do think this will pass. They don't think Republicans are going to defy the president on his signature legislation, as big and sweeping as it is, and with those potential cuts. The question is how long it's going to take to get this through, to get this done. And that's what they've been watching, obviously, very closely at the White House. But with Senator Tillis there...
I don't believe anything that anybody says, Swamp Dog. I don't believe none of it. What I do is I take the information and I put it to you. Therefore, don't get mad at the messenger. I'm showing you what both sides said. That's called being unbiased. So whether it's on Fox, whether it's on CNN, whether it's on your local news station, if I see it, I report on it from both sides. This is not a biased channel, my guy. So I don't believe what nobody says.
As he's coming out and he's saying that the president is being misinformed by his advisors on what is actually in this bill, and that it's going to make him essentially go back on the promises that you just heard him say there about not interfering with people's Medicaid benefits. I mean, the White House is just flatly rejecting that and arguing that it's wrong. But I think you have to look at, with Tillis' decision yesterday.
Nav vet, you better chill out down there, boy. You is not safe. You don't have a green card. I'll deport you faster than Trump deporting immigrants. You an immigrant over here. You don't got a green card. You know what I'm saying? Let's slow down. Talking about sure you do. I done showed everything that's being put out on both sides. You know what I'm saying? So don't catch you a free trip, because I also got more rockets than Elon Musk. Yeah, don't boy, and the rides are free. We'll get you right up out of here. Just know that. David, who's lying? Danielle, who's lying? Chobot, who's lying? Yeah, let me interrupt this real quick, because we finna have a mass deportation situation going on over here. Yeah, if you ain't got a green card, you about to get deported. Say something else. Yeah. Say something else to the channel broadcaster and not about what's being presented in front of you. Yeah, we gonna have a mass get the rockets in the chat. Somebody finna take a free trip. I can feel it in my bones. Oh, I can feel it in my bones.
Say he's not going to be seeking re-election. He doesn't really have a lot to lose here in terms of why he is speaking out and why he is saying that, or any incentive to say something that he doesn't actually think could put Republicans in peril. And so that is something they're watching, obviously, closely at the White House. They just essentially want to get this passed. They want to be able to talk about tax cuts and
let's get Kyle right up out of here. You're the first one to get deported. Sayonara, sucker. We'll holler at you. Any more people want to take a free vacation? You know what I'm saying? Let me know. Let me know. Any more people want to take a free vacation to outer space, man? All aboard the rocket ships. You know what I'm saying? Just go stand in line. We're going to get you right up out of here.
That is something that they are trumpeting. And you're seeing how the president is working on this in terms of writing scathing Truth Social posts of people who are disagreeing with him, and also taking senators out for golfing trips, calling them up on the phone and chatting with them, as this slog right now on Capitol Hill is happening with all these amendments that they are trying to get passed, and none of them so far have gotten passed.
Well, speaking of people who...
Eli, what truth did I deny? I haven't denied the truth. I haven't said one word to you. You're denying the truth. The truth is that I'm most definitely showing both sides. I'm going to show you what Elon said. I'm going to show you what Trump said. If that's not being unbiased, I don't know what is. When it came to the alligator Alcatraz, I showed you what people that was for it had to say and what people who were against it had to say. What are you mad at me for? I'm just a messenger. I'm sorry. I'm not talking to you, and my name is Ellie. Ellie, Eli, Sheila, whatever your name is. I thought you was talking to me. I'm going to let you make it. Why they coming at you? Jace, they always got something to say, but I got something for them. It's called a beautiful rocket ship, and they're going to be going on a trip in their favorite rocket ship, zooming through the sky. Haters, bye-bye. We don't need you. Haters, bye-bye. You can go. Yeah, it's called a mass deportation.
people who disagree with him. Elon Musk came out with a new/old threat today, saying he would primary or push to primary any lawmakers who support this bill. That's a split again with the president. How does the White House view this?
Well, it's interesting because a few White House officials were surprised that he came out today and said this, given he had gone largely quiet on his criticisms of the president and of legislation that he's trying to get passed. He had actually come out and said he regretted some of the things he said about Trump when they were sniping back and forth at one another previously. And so now to look at this, what he's saying, I mean, he's going after this and saying Democrats and Republicans are both in the wrong here. A new political party needs to be formed, that all of Washington, he says, is in agreement.
Ma'am, let me show you how much I care, Bricks. Let's get Bricks, the ungoddess, right up out of here. How is that? I don't have to put up with anything on my channel that I don't want to put up with. And I didn't threaten to deport anybody, for their opinions. I'll root people for talking to me. You ain't got to talk to me to talk about the video. Ellie has been in here saying whatever she wanted to say this whole time. She's still in here typing right now. So what are you talking about? Nobody's getting deported for their opinion. You're getting deported if you're talking to me. Just know that.
More than they are in disagreement and threatening to primary Republicans who vote yes on this. Obviously, John, that is a lot of Republicans who are likely expected to vote yes on this that he's saying that he would be going after. But he's essentially trying to highlight what he says is the criticism of Republicans who complain about big spending in Washington and then are about to vote on this, given the estimates that we've seen, including from the budget office this weekend, of just how much this is going to add to the deficit.
Yeah, that's a lot of primaries. You better have deep pockets. Caitlin Collins, thank you very much. And of course, you can join Caitlin at the top of the hour for The Source. She's going to speak to Senator Elizabeth Warren tonight. Right now, let's bring in Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. He's on the Armed Services and Judiciary Committee. Senator, nice to see you. Any prediction on what will happen tonight and what time?
Certainly, I have no prediction on time, and I've just come from the Senate floor. There's a real question about whether they have the votes. They are really struggling because they face this dilemma of making $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, which require them to make slashing cuts in Medicaid, in nutrition programs, in aid to veterans and student loans, and much, much more, which will have really drastic effects on their constituents. So right now, they're engaged. That's why 2-1, they disapprove of this bill. The tax cuts for the billionaires of $4.5 trillion are absolutely necessary. Ballooning national debt by $3.3 trillion, absolutely abhorrent. And so I think that they're going to be struggling for the better part of this evening, maybe into tomorrow morning or later.
What does Senator Tillis, his announcement that he won't seek re-election, what does that tell you?
What it tells me is that any Republican who stands up to Donald Trump will be hit by this torrent of vitriol and vehement threats and intimidation. And so Donald Trump is running this show. He is betraying not only his own promises, but the values and promises that Republicans have made to their constituents. And what Tillis's decision tells me is their positions in many ways have become unsustainable, both politically and morally.
How does it feel to be aligned with Elon Musk tonight, who also opposes this bill? And what difference do you think that his speaking out today will make?
Well, needless to say, Elon Musk and I are not coordinating our public positions, but I think he has it right. And the numbers tell the story, not only the debt that will balloon and the real suffering that people will see in their everyday lives, kids who break their arms on playgrounds, or women who find a lump in their breast and they go to the emergency room, they're uncovered, seniors who are kicked out of nursing homes.
Can we get 40 more likes, guys? We're 40 away
and
from
Elon
400.
Musk may
Click
not
the three dots,
feel
hit the
or see
thumbs
that
up.
pain, but top line, he knows the financial markets are going to begin reacting to the levels of debt that will be generated. The economy is at risk. The ramifications and ripple effects throughout the economy will be terrible. And I will just say one more thing, John. You know, the Republicans have corrupted this democratic process. They have, in effect, relied on an accounting trick. It is called baseline budgeting, and the baseline current policy that enables them to disguise a part of the effect on national debt. So this reliance on accounting tricks, on corrupting the reconciliation process, which was designed only for budgeting. They're adding all kinds of policy restrictions, I think will be seen by the American people as fundamentally destructive of the democratic process.
Well, we will see, certainly, maybe see what happens in the Senate sometime tonight. Senator Blumenthal, thank you so much.
All right, so that was a little bit more on what Trump and Elon have going on, right? So trust and believe that Trump most definitely said that he might plan to use Doge against Elon Musk. Remember, he said if Doge checks in to Elon, then we might get somewhere. Woo, let's go.
EV mandate, and he's very upset about things, but he could lose a lot more than that. I can tell you right now. Hey,
he's talking about Elon.
Elon can lose a lot more than that. I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon.
He said we might have to put Doge on Elon.
Is a monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible?
This morning, the Trump-Elon Musk feud is back on. As lawmakers worked, as we've now been talking about overnight, the president worked with social media, hitting back at Musk. In a late-night post, Trump suggested that Doge should investigate federal money that Musk's companies have received, writing and at one point that Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far. And without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look. Musk earlier had picked back up on his attacks on the president's massive tax
they back at it, y'all.
Disgusting at one point. Musk even vowed to back primary challengers for any lawmaker.
Can we get the likes to 400, guys?
Or he
Click
also
the
said
three
he
dots,
could
hit the
start a
thumbs
political
up.
party if the bill passes. Hadas Gold tracking this element of this ongoing story.
What's
and
up,
saga.
Rocksteady?
What's going on here this time, Hadas?
Yeah, Kate, this is significant because this is the first and starkest political threat that Elon Musk has made about his political future. We were waiting. There's lots of questions. What will Elon Musk really do going forward in the midterms? Remember, he had said he was going to kind of step away from the political spending. And it should be taken seriously because when Elon Musk gets laser focused, gets obsessed with something, he has the willpower and he has the funds to get it done. Now, he made essentially two really big kind of threats and promises over the last 12 hours or so. The first, as you know, he said he will back any primary challenger in Congress who has talked about reducing government spending, but then voted for this big, beautiful bill, saying it will be the last thing he will do on earth.
More on Elon and Trump.
That he said will feature the face of any member of Congress who does this. It shows Pinocchio in flames and saying this is what people will see as they go to vote. And he's already declared the
He said, liar, voted to increase America's debt by $5 trillion. However many zeros that is. That trillion? Yeah, it might be a zillion. I'm just saying, Lord, have mercy. Wow, that's a lot of zeros.
Candidate that he will be backing up. That will be, of course, Representative Massey. Massey was one of the Republicans, of course, to vote against the House version of this bill last month. And he has been President Trump's #1 target so far for Republican primaries going forward. So that, again, puts him on the opposite end of the spectrum for President Trump once again. And then he did promise this. He said that he will create a new political party called the American Party. Remember, his political action committee is called the American PAC. He says if this insane spending bill passes, the American Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so that the people actually have a voice. This is a significant change to Musk's plan. Remember, he spent more than $275 million to back President Donald Trump, as well as other Republicans running last year. He had promised something like $100 million to President Trump's outside groups ahead of the 2026 midterms. And just as recently as March, according to FEC filings, his PAC had supported Republican candidates in Florida. I should note also, Tesla investors, they do not want this. We saw President Trump already threaten Elon Musk, saying that he might even put Doge, Elon Musk's own creation, against him. Tesla investors do not want this. They wanted Elon Musk out of politics.
Wow.
Companies the robo-taxi this
Elon and
launch.
Trump.
There's a lot of things going on with SpaceX, but it seems as though Elon Musk is not going to give this up. Okay.
Let us stand by and see where this heads now. It's great to see you, Hadas.
As we speak, he continues to post on X. So things are changing by the minute here.
Hadas, thank you so much. Sarah.
All right, from the voter-rama to the fighter-rama. Joining me now are CNN political commentator Bakari Sellers and Maury Gillespie, the former press advisor to Republican House Speaker John Boehner. All right, let me start with you, Maury. This is a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds. You see this fight, right, going back and forth with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Are Republicans more afraid of Donald Trump, Elon Musk, or their own constituents?
I mean, this is really childish, but it wasn't just a few months ago that Elon Musk said for any member or senator who stands in the way of Trump's agenda will be primaried. So now it's if anyone who stands in the way of this Trump's agenda, if they don't stand in the way of it, they're going to be primaried. I mean, he may change his mind in a month, so it's really hard to say. I don't think Elon Musk is their threat. However, if Donald Trump's not going to show up for them in their primaries, in their re-election bids in 2026, then it's their constituents that you're most afraid of, because that's what Trump is a lame duck president.
I had got a phone call, y'all, that messed up the clarity of the video. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can fix the clarity of the video real quick. Y'all hold tight real fast. Let me see if I can fix this clarity. How's it looking now, guys? Yeah, that's better. Let's go. Let's continue.
He has not been really keen to go out. What's he going to do? Go out for every single House race that's at jeopardy here? It's a lot. It's a lot. So I think it's their constituents they should be most afraid of here.
Bakari, what does this say about the money in politics and these two men going back and forth, or is this about something different?
I think it's about something different. I think that it's very, very petty and very childish. I think that it's kind of like the Real Housewives of the Beltway. I mean, he
and Donald Trump were going back at it, guys.
Go back to where he came from.
Wow.
But I mean, when you juxtapose that against the fact that, like in my home state of South Carolina, 220,000 people will be kicked off of Medicaid in the Affordable Care Act, or in North Carolina, 600,000 people are going to lose insurance coverage. When you juxtapose it against the people who are going to lose SNAP benefits and health insurance, it looks really, really small. We've always said, Democrats have always said that Donald Trump's a very small man. And you see that. I'm trying to figure out how he has the energy and the wherewithal to tweet throughout the middle of the night at some other man that he just simply doesn't like. Is there not enough going on in the world for him to actually grapple with? And Elon Musk, you know, I believe in radical pragmatism. And so I want to destroy this bill just as much as Elon Musk. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I guess I'll take Elon Musk in this battle.
All right, with us now, Lee Carter, strategic communications expert and pollster, and Democratic strategist Julie Rosinski. Let me just start with you, Lee. There's this new round in this fight. Musk is putting himself out there again. What will that feel like for those senators who've been up all night who have to vote on this shortly?
I mean, on the one hand, it's not surprising that Elon Musk is doing this. He's been very consistent about spending. This is very much what he's been talking about the whole time. On the other hand, the question is, it's really just about his ego. And are we getting in the limelight and having a fight? But I think that the Republicans who are making the vote need to not be distracted by this. We're seeing, though, a huge fracture within the Republican Party. 75% of MAGA Republicans support this bill, but 75% of non-MAGA supporters, Republicans, actually oppose the bill. So you've got a huge fracture in that party, and I think Elon Musk is symbolic of what that is.
And just so people know, Trump, on his Truth Social platform, has responded to Musk already. We haven't heard from him out loud.
Boy, they is going
but among other things, Trump accuses Musk of wanting
make sure you're
subsidies. He say Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far. And without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back to South Africa. So, Julie, the significance of this new rift, what do you see?
Well, first of all, Trump is not wrong in the sense that Elon Musk has a tremendous amount of taxpayer subsidies from the United States going to his businesses. And the reality is that if Trump takes away those subsidies or threatens them, I think Musk will cave the way he caved the last time when Trump came after him. I mean, this is not a balanced fight, because Elon Musk is the client and Donald Trump is the person who's providing him with the money in the form of the presidency. So, look, Musk can tweet all he wants, but the reality is that if Trump actually moves against him and takes away his subsidies or threatens them, I suspect Musk will cave.
The one difference with Elon Musk, whenever we're talking about him, is just the huge amount of money he has. And one of the other things he's threatening is to launch this third party, or is to fund a third party here. You guys have both worked in this business and have for a long time. How real do you think that threat is? What difference would that make?
I don't think it's real because I don't think Elon Musk will be the richest guy in the world or have that money if Trump moves against him. I mean, if Trump actually uses his platform to disqualify Elon Musk and also to take away his subsidies for SpaceX, take away subsidies for EVs and everything else that Musk wants, it's going to be very hard for Musk and Tesla, which is the primary derivative of his money, to survive, especially because Tesla's already going down. Democrats are not buying Tesla. And if Trump goes after him, Republicans won't be buying Tesla either. It's bad business practice for Musk. If he does this, if he does do this, and people follow him, and he does have a big following on Twitter and has this rift with Trump, you know, it doesn't help Republicans, obviously, because a third party will take away from them. Democrats are certainly not voting for any Elon Musk-backed party. So I don't think Trump is going to let it get to that point, because if he does, he understands it's going to harm him, it's going to harm the MAGA movement, and he does have this big sword of Damocles hanging over Musk's head in the form of subsidies.
Wait.
So my feeling is that Donald Trump is the one that has the huge following. And Elon Musk certainly helped Donald Trump in the election. There's no question about it. It gave him credibility. It gave him some voters that were on the fence. But it wasn't Elon Musk who was center stage. And I don't think that we're going to see people follow Elon Musk in the same way that we saw the MAGA movement. And certainly we have evidence of that in the Supreme Court elections and other things that, you know, Elon Musk tried to have huge influence and he ultimately failed.
All right, hold up. Yeah, because not only did that happen, but Trump also threatened to deport Elon Musk. Let's talk about it.
Good morning. We're going out to Alligator, Alcatraz. It's an East Coast version, and it should be very exciting, very good. Worked very hard on it with Ron and everybody, and I think it's going to be great. And then I'll be back here fighting for the bill, and I hear it's going okay. We'll move it along. But we'll be back here pretty early.
What do you think the president on the bill using warning some Republicans not to go too crazy with the cuts? Are there parts of the bill or amendments that you think cut too much?
We're going to have to see the final version. I don't want to go too crazy with cuts. I don't like cuts. There are certain things that have been cut, which is good. I think we're doing well. We're going to have to see. It's very complicated stuff. Great enthusiasm, as you know. And I think in the end, we're going to have it. What do you think, Caroline? Yeah, I think
What do you think about Zoran Mamdani having such a hard time condemning the phrase globalizing intifada?
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. The last thing we need is a communist. I said there will never be socialism in the United States. Now we have a communist. So I think it's bad news. And I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people.
Whoa, it said he's a total nut job. Wow, Trump. he on Elon top.
People in New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy. We will have a communist for the first time, really, a pure, true communist. He wants to operate the grocery stores, the department stores. What about the people that are there? I think it's crazy.
What happened to Elon Musk?
Who?
What happened to Elon Musk?
What happened to Elon
Nothing.
Musk?
No, he's upset. He's losing his EV mandate, and he's very upset about things, but he could lose a lot more than that. I can tell you right now. Hey, Elon can lose a lot more than that. We hope it's going to happen, and we're looking forward to happen sometime next week. We want to get our hostages out. We want to get the hostages out.
What if the big beautiful bill doesn't pass? You have to go through item by item by item and pass this stuff one at a time, or are you just going to try again?
I think we're going to get there. It's tough. We're trying to break it down so it's really good for the country. Trying to get a lot for everybody, and it's a big bill. And smaller bills would have been easy, but they wouldn't have been as good. I think it's going to do okay.
And with the alligator Alcatraz, is the idea that if some illegal immigrants escape, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something?
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If you know, the snakes are fast, but alligators are, we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison. How to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%. Okay? Not a good thing.
What are you going to talk to Netanyahu about Monday?
Well, he's coming here. We're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about the great success we had. I mean, we had an incredible, in Iran, we had an incredible success. Like really nobody's had in many, many years. That was a precision war strike. And the word obliteration.
All right, so you heard a couple of what he had to say about Elon Musk. You know, basically threatened to deport Elon, you know, and basically put Doge on Elon, his own creation. That's crazy. I got breaking news, guys. The House just passed the big, beautiful bill. And J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote, guys. They most definitely passed it. They passed the bill, guys. Check this out.
The tax cut that was put into place by President Trump in his first term, if that's allowed to expire today, if this bill does not pass, that hikes taxes for 68% of working Americans.
Right, and the biggest hikes would be for the lower household income. So, and also the pro-growth aspect of this, right? We want to grow this nation. We want to grow the economy. And taxes are a central part of that, particularly for corporations.
Hold the vice president breaking the tie right now, which means they had some no votes from those Republicans. This bill, the big, beautiful bill, has passed because the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, has come to the Hill more than once thinking that he would do this. And when he showed up this morning, they were right. He would be needed. He has done it. Let's listen and see if there is any audio that we can take in.
Okay. Pursuant to the order 4 February 29, 1960, the hour of 12 noon having arrived, the Senate having been in continuous session since yesterday, the Senate will suspend for a prayer by the Senate chaplain.
The bill passed, guys.
Let us pray. Eternal, ever-blessed God, help our senators to walk on your path for the glory of your name. Help them to walk with humility so that they will strive to be servants of the people. Help them to walk with forgiveness so that they will forgive
the big,
as
bill
they
passes,
desire
guys.
To be forgiven. Help them to walk with courage so that nothing will deflect them from the way they ought to take. Help them to walk with endurance so that nothing may daunt or discourage them until they reach their goal. Lord, help them to walk with loyalty so that nothing will ever seduce their hearts from their devotion to you. We pray in your loving name. Amen.
And with that, we are watching now. The big, beautiful bill has passed on the vote, breaking the tie of the Vice President of the United States. And Charles, you were talking about the tax portion of this. What good does this do outside of saving what the president put into place with tax cuts that were monumental, really, for so many Americans across the country? What does this allow him to do going forward?
This is the crux of it all, really, to be quite honest. It's the growth effect, the multiplier effect of businesses keeping more of what they earn, being able to invest that into future products and being able to invest that into
employees, and that's what the foundation of the economy is. And listen, obviously, it's one thing when you say things on the campaign trail and when you hope for things on the campaign trail. As we can see, this thing is very contentious. Just your conversation with Chip Roy shows that when it gets back to the House, there's going to be some more, fisticuffs or another Donnybrook, so to speak. But President Trump put out a post yesterday talking about the growth aspect of this, and I think that's what he's focused on more than anything else. Make the pie bigger, make the economic pie huge so that everyone can get a chance at an opportunity, because it's one thing to save taxes as a lower income home. It's another thing to have have more prosperity, to grow your job, to grow your business, to have a business, to start a business. And I think that's what the president's aiming for.
Look, what you were talking about, and I want to get into it, Kennedy, at the very end of the Faulkner Focus, Representative Chip Roy and I were watching the lead up, the last few seconds of that final vote, and he said that the cut...
So I guess Elon will be starting his brand new political party, guys. The bill passed.
That were put in place to make this deal, there are Republicans who, and I would assume he includes himself, are not happy about, and he's hoping that some of that, as Charles has just told us, can be, kind of put back in, I guess, by the House. But the cut down on Green New Deal, and they cut some of that out to make a deal today. The giveaways, this is Chip Roy, representative from Texas, talking, the giveaways furthering the Medicaid scam of, this idea that they're not just trying to get out fraud, but they want to just give money away, for Senator Murkowski of Alaska to vote yes for this. What are your thoughts on it?
So a lot of that was offsets from Obamacare. So that was expanding Medicaid for states like Alaska instead of really reforming the system. And it is, the way they're doing it, it's still a Band-Aid. It's still a stopgap. And I think they really have to focus more of their attention on these meaningful reforms going forward, because that shouldn't be the thing that kills this bill. That shouldn't be the thing that kills tax cuts. But it opens a very interesting fissure within the party, because you have the constitutionalists like Chip Roy and the Freedom Caucus in the House, and then you have the moderates in the Senate, like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, who's up for re-election. And so they're going to push for the more moderate or liberal aspects of this bill that expand government and expand spending, which is a recipe for disaster when you're trying to cut taxes. If you're going to grow the economy, as Charles says, you also have to cut spending. And that's the issue that people like Rand Paul have with the bill.
And Kennedy, do you think that it really came as close enough as Chip Roy, representative from Texas, was laying out, that if they would promise to give Lisa Murkowski the money that she wanted, I mean, could Democrats have tanked this in any way? I'm baffled, because we're at a tie, so clearly it was close.
They didn't need Democrats to tank this.
They didn't.
The Republicans did it all on their own, because they thought the more comfortable margin would be in the Senate. Because, mathematically, in terms of the ratio of Republican votes, you have more of them in the Senate, and they lost three of them. So it's even tighter in the House. So how you go back with this to the House and come up with a compromise, because, these are some pretty big issues. This is still a pretty big gulf that they have to tightrope in order to pass this bill and have it signed.
Well, and the other reason, Jerry, that they thought it might do better or easier, might be an easier road in the Senate, was because the Senate had promised all the spending cuts and all those things. But much of that, not much, but some of that got shaved to the point where Congressman Roy is talking about maybe they're not all comfortable with it, the way it's cut down now.
That's right. So now it has to go back to the House. The House has to vote, obviously. And the question is, how does that happen? Does it happen? I think there's a very good chance that it happens, obviously. But let me just talk for a second about some of the stuff in this bill that is going to help middle class, because there's been a lot of disinformation about this. And the disinformation is basically that it helps Trump's billionaire friends. Nothing could be further from the truth. Remember, no tax on tips, lower taxes on Social Security, car loans on American cars, those will be deductible. So you're seeing a lot of things in here for regular Americans, going to help regular Americans, and nothing will help them more than Donald Trump's original tax cuts, right? They really help the middle class. It helps the lower class. So this is all good news. I want to say that the CBO has been no help here. Because the CBO says that there's going to be 3.3 trillion.
Shout out to Jay Stevens for that 10-piece. Appreciate you.
More in deficits over the next 10 years because of this bill. They've got it wrong, and they've got it wrong for exactly the reasons we've been talking about. You brought this up earlier, that the economy is going to grow under this bill, right? It's going to get bigger. That's going to spend off more tax revenue and make our country wealthier.
Well, and the other point, the CBO on the original tax cut bill said it would cut, that would add, cut 1.5 trillion, and instead it added 1.5 trillion. It would add 1.5 trillion to the deficit. It cut 1.5 trillion out. So in other words, they were a million times wrong, $3 trillion off. So it's really awful with the CBO. Of course, they don't add tariff revenue and a whole lot of other things, but a lot of these folks in D.C., really seem beholden to it, and it's easy to game. So that always boggles my mind. I feel like it's more for public consumption than it is for actually being in a realistic world.
Yeah, Emily, presidents want that deliverable. They want that initial vision. The president got it already this morning. He's talked deep about the numbers, the 2,700 gang members that have been picked up in short order by his administration, illegal gang members, suspected gang members who were here as illegal aliens. So he's having a deliverable there. This conceivably could lead us to another one.
That's right. I spoke with border czar Tom Homan yesterday, interviewing him on Fox Across America when I subbed in for Jimmy. And he shared that the colossal just impact that we inherited from the Biden administration in the way of illegal immigration, he said, will take a decade to actually clean up and address. And we talked about the brave and efficacious work of ICE agents and DHS right now. But the reality is that we have to go internally and clean house. And so what this OB3 does in the way of resources for that and allocation is really paramount, because I think right now we've successfully, obviously, stopped the floodgates at the border. But the reality is that on the interior front, there's a lot that we don't know. And what we do know is that we need resources for that. And I also spoke with Congressman Rick Crawford from Arkansas, and he talked about the agricultural communities. He said those are the heart and soul of rural America. And when we talk about these tax cuts, I speak with everyone. What is the best for your constituents? What do your people need? It's all the same. That's the entire point, that the massive impact it would have had if this didn't pass or doesn't pass the House. Right. It will be catastrophic and devastating. Child tax credit, families over 68%, small businesses, millions of them. So every single person affected, and the senators Mullen and Tuberville from Alabama and Oklahoma echoed the same. So it may not be perfect, but the reality is it would be devastating if it didn't pass.
Just talking about it plainly, as we often do here, Emily, on the couch, if you can imagine struggling under the high inflation of at 9.1% under Joe Biden in the last 4 years, if you can imagine price setting going to higher rates and never coming back down. I mean, the inflation has come down precipitously, as President Trump had promised, but the government doesn't set the prices. We're a capitalistic nation. So, those prices are still high. So to take away people's ability to pay for those prices that they've had to be buckled under and struggled under for 4 years with less money to pay for them if this doesn't pass the House, that's inconceivable. That would be punishment on punishment.
My dad he's almost 80, and COVID almost totally destroyed our small family farm and agricultural community, and it was made all the worse because it was in a blue area in Oregon. And the reality is he now does everything himself for all of that reason. The cost cutting that we have to endure because of the suffocation from federal regulations and the states piling in, you are right. You cannot afford it. We cannot afford to continue that.
All right, we're covering it. So now the bill, the big, beautiful bill, goes to the U.S. House.
All right, guys. So we found out that they passed the big, beautiful bill, guys. Now it has to go to the House, to see if it passes there. Who knows? Will it? It may not, and it just might. We found out about the feud that's still ongoing between Trump and Elon. And Elon said if this bill passed, that he would start his own political party. Looks like he might be starting his own political party, guys. This is crazy. We also found out about alligator Alcatraz, located in Florida, a new detention center for all illegal immigrants, you know, whether you're violent or not. What's up, Amazingly Beautiful? You know, you run the risk of going there. You know, that's all I have for this segment. You know, I most definitely covered everything that was in the title, as well as some things that were not. I brought you up to speed with everything going on as of right now. I may come back a little bit later and bring you some more updates on the things that we found out right now. But as of right now, that's the end of this one, man. Shout out to everybody that rocked out for these whole 2 hours. You know, I appreciate any super chat or super sticker I receive, any gift, anybody, you know, that subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to Everything News, you know, if you haven't done so. And also take time to click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up, man. Yeah, man, they passed the big, beautiful bill, man. Wow. Yeah, we'll have to see and keep an eye. We'll have to keep an eye on everything going on. I most definitely keep y'all updated with everything that's going on. I hope you enjoyed the show. Y'all already know what time it is. And with that being said, everybody be safe. It's time for me to make my grand exit. Y'all know how this go. Sidewalk gang, checking out. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Shout out to my guy Jay Stevens for that 5. He say, Mahel, salute to you again for the live on Saturday. Y'all had me turned up for real. Let's go. Shout out to you. Thank you for that 5, man. And with that being said, I'm gone.